Good morning, everyone. This is the pre-proposal meeting for the San Francisco Health Service System request for proposals for an as-needed offsite employee benefits call center services vendor. My name is Michael Visconti. I'm the Contracts Administration Manager for the San Francisco Health Service System. With me today, I have a few members of our team, including our subject matter experts and project executives for the contract that will ultimately result from this RFP. I'll have them go around and introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll go quickly into the agenda. Let's start with Rin, and then Olga and Patrick.
Good morning. My name is Rin Coleridge, and I'm the Director of Enterprise Systems and Analytics on this call for any integrations that will be required with the selected vendor.
Good morning, Olga Stavinska Velasquez, Operations Manager with Member Services. I oversee our current call center.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Chang. I'm Principal Analyst with the Contracts team. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, team. As a quick overview, I assume most people on this call have reviewed or at least glanced over the detailed RFP. We post that to our website. All communications will be done in writing. They must be done to myself and Patrick Chang, and you must include both of us on your emails in order to make sure that we have the most fair, open, transparent, and impartial process. I will make sure that we post everything to our webpage at the same time, giving everyone the same opportunities. I did notice we have one more person from our team on this call who I didn't have as a presenter, but I want to introduce as well. That is Ray Guillen. He is our Chief Operating Officer. Ray, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Everyone.
Thank you, Ray. All right. So again, we really adhere to kind of the highest standards here at the City and County of San Francisco for the transparency in our process. So again, I just want to make sure that everyone gives all of their communications to us in writing. This includes any questions that may be presented in the last phase of this pre-proposal meeting. We will do our best to have our team answer these questions if you want to ask them on this call on the fly. But again, per our requirements, they must also be submitted in writing to us via email, again, to michael.visconti@sfgov.org and CC Patrick Chang at sfgov.org as well. Our emails are here on the pre-proposal meeting agenda. Let's see. Again, we're going to go briefly through the RFP schedule. Patrick will present that to you here. We'll go through also the submittal requirements and the minimum qualifications. After that, we'll go into an overview of what we believe to be the needed service here. For those of you that have reviewed the RFP in detail, you'll notice that this is a new venture for SFHSS. We have previously handled all of our call center services in-house with our team here at 1145 Market Street in San Francisco. So again, we're not just looking for a vendor as a result of this RFP, but we're looking really for a collaborative and strategic partner in how we are going to proceed with these services going forward. As we have determined, as you saw from the RFP in our background, that this is definitely a need for us, for our staff, and for the city, and so that we can continue to serve the SFHSS member population with the highest standards of support when it comes to their benefits. With that, I will hand this off to Patrick. And again, any questions, we will please reserve those for the end of this call. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michael. I'm just going to share my screen, everybody, so you can see. We're going to be walking through the schedule over the next few minutes, and also just share some notes and things to consider as you're preparing to submit your proposal, and also and then we'll do a brief walkthrough of the requirements to make sure your proposals have everything they needed, and hopefully we can provide some general clarification of what you don't need to worry about. So in terms of the schedule, today we're here at the pre-proposal conference, so we are receiving questions through next Thursday related to this RFP, and we'll do our best to provide as much specificity in our responses to make sure it's clear what we're looking for as you're preparing your quotes. So you may have also questions that come up after this call and over the next week. So please, as Michael had mentioned, please continue to send us those questions up until the deadline, and we'll respond to them on a rolling basis via addendum that we'll post to our website, which you're looking at here on the screen. And we'll post them through the following week, through the following Tuesday, June 13th. And as Michael had mentioned, whenever we do post responses, we'll notify both the author of the email who submitted the question and also everyone who's on our email distribution list for those responses. And that includes everyone that we initially reached out to for this procurement, and also everyone who's attending this conference right now. Once we do reach that deadline of Thursday the 8th, we will not be able to receive any more questions or respond to any more questions, I should say, about the scope of services and anything like that. But if you should have any other questions around more procedural nature, such as the LBE requirements that are mentioned, or also any questions about becoming an approved city supplier, things like that, please continue to reach out to us via email, and we can respond to those as promptly as possible. So we will. So once we've hit that deadline, we are also happy to begin receiving your proposals by Friday the 23rd. And so before I get into that, I just want to note that in RFP section 3.3, submission proposals, it does highlight that the city has imposed this year 20 megabyte limits on any emails that are submitted through the city server. So just keep that in mind when you're submitting your proposal. If you are sending a file with lots of attachments, lots of images, things like that, if it does get close to or exceeds that limits, please let us know immediately, so we can set up an alternative and secure way for you to submit your proposal to us. We do also recommend you submit your proposal ahead of time. We have received proposals at 11:59 or a minute before, and you never know what kind of technical issues might prop up. So please just keep that in mind. We do typically recommend, if at all possible, for vendors to submit their proposals at least an hour before the deadline, so that way we can provide you confirmation that we've received it. Some files might take a little longer to work its way through all the servers and the systems, and so just we just want to make sure that all those things do not pose any issues or threats to us receiving a proposal. So once we can provide that confirmation, then we can just rest assured that your proposal and all the work that you've put into it, all the thought and investment that your team has put in is going to be part of our evaluation. And just to be clear, if our servers do kick it back and it's not in our inboxes, Michael's and mine, by 12 p.m., we won't be able to accept your proposal, and we will have to move forward in the process without your proposal, just due to the city's rules on fairness for these procurement processes.
Thank you for highlighting that, Patrick. One quick moment. We will be available during those mornings, both Patrick and I, we've kind of blocked those out to answer any questions, handle any technical issues that might arise. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us again via email.
Yes, please. So after we've received that, we'll take about a week to go through all the minimum requirements in the proposal, make sure all those are met. And once those are set, and it's been determined that your organization, your proposal does meet all those minimum qualifications, we will be moving on to oral interviews from July 6th through July 7th. And these are the dates we're aiming for. They are subject to change depending on how many proposals we receive, and we end up having to do the review in case it takes more time, and also the availability of our panel, just understanding it is a holiday week, so hopefully that does not pose any issues, and hopefully we can remain on that timeline. But just be aware, if you don't hear from us by the 7th, don't worry. It's possible those dates may have had to shift a couple of days. So after the oral interviews, we do anticipate within days after the panel has concluded their evaluation of the interviews, all the scores from the oral interviews and the written proposal evaluations will be compiled, and the final rankings will be based on the panel's scoring of both those two components. And the departments anticipate being able to notify all vendors who submitted a proposal of those final rankings during that week. So, and again, these dates, of course, are subject to the oral interview schedule. So if you don't hear from us by these dates, we will be in touch. And so the anticipated contract start date is August 1st. So we are aiming for that, and we hope to get this all wrapped up by then. So, of course, as Michael had mentioned, please go ahead and submit us any questions that you have after this meeting via email to the both of us, and we will start posting responses on the website. All right. Thank you, Michael. I'll just jump on to the next session of the submission requirements, and this is, let's see, let me jump over to RFP section 3.5.
And while you're doing that, Patrick, let me just highlight 2 items. Great summary there. I really appreciate the detail. 2 items. When we speak about submitting your proposal, remember that all materials must be included in the proposal itself. These days, I understand that it's common to maybe include a link. Some people may want to include a link to a video or a link to a kind of a more of a multimedia presentation of sorts. Because we need to make sure that all of our evaluation panel members review the exact same materials and that this is a fully transparent process, all of that must be contained in your proposal. So that means that if you have a link to an outside website, you need to include that detail in your proposal. We do not allow outside research by our panel. That may include media. If that has to be media, it has to be in sort of a picture form, no videos or anything like that. And I will say also, on the deadline for questions, as Patrick mentioned, you can reach out to us after the deadline for questions and after your proposal has been submitted if those questions are to do with you being an approved city supplier. And as we highlight, and Patrick highlighted throughout the RFP document itself, becoming an approved city supplier is a process that may take more than just a couple of weeks, depending on where you're located, where your employees are located, and what the status is of your benefits, particularly when it comes to equal benefits and our 12B ordinance. So again, I highly recommend that all prospective respondents take special note of the approved city supplier requirements, and we can work with you before August 1st, and we insist on you beginning the process before August 1st so that there's absolutely no delay whatsoever in that process. We do have the possibility for a vendor being selected as the highest respondent to this RFP, but if they are not able to become an approved city supplier, we must then go down to the second highest ranked respondent in the RFP. To avoid that happening again, please take note of the approved city supplier requirements, get that process started early, and any questions regarding that, you can ask us that after the deadline for normal RFP questions. Give it back to you, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Michael. Very, very helpful. Always a good reminder for me as well. So the next few minutes we'll go over the proposal structure for your proposals, and I know just in case there's any confusion about page limits I just want to clarify that there are 5 sections that have explicit page limits, but there are, just to clarify, if there's an attachment associated with sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 have page limits. Do your best to adhere to those because because of the way the city rules are, and to be fair across all vendors and proposals, we will have to remove any pages in excess of those limits. So if you have, something like a really wonderful paragraph that exceeds this 1 page, just to be fair to all the other vendors, we will have to remove that excess text. However, things such as the IRS W-9 form for the executive summary, these things would not be counted against the 2-page limit. So just something to keep in mind. If you have other questions about these page limits, again, please feel free to shoot me an email, CC Michael, and we'll make sure that's explicitly and clear in our response when we post it to the website. So hopefully that makes sense. So overall, there's going to be 9 sections in your proposal. Please do your best to be also concise and clear. We strongly recommend omitting any unnecessary information based on your judgment. Remove any marketing materials that might be that might seem like it fits. Just give us the most succinct and direct information relevant to this. So section 1, we're looking for a cover letter that provides, kind of your general business information. So what's the name, address, telephone numbers, emails, who is the designated person to receive legal correspondence, to also be the signatory for your organization. Do please provide us a table of contents. This really facilitates the evaluation panel's ability to find their way through these documents, in case, because these are as you're aware and as you are investing, I'm sure a lot of staff and time and resources. Please also help us just to find our way to make sure we're finding all the information that you're putting in here. We don't want to miss anything that you may be putting here of importance and relevance. We are looking for an executive summary with a little more information than the cover letter, but a little more specifics around your business, the legal formation. Please do list if there's a parent company and all subsidiaries. If the organization submitting this is a subsidiary of another company, please do make that clear. So the city knows what the business relationship would be that the city would be doing business with. Please also make it clear if it's LLC, an S corp, things like that. Please provide an org chart, just so we know where your services fit within the larger ecosystem of organizations within your of your business. Let us know who the primary contacts are, who is the person, again, to receive legal notices. Please do provide the most recent IRS W-9. And again, this does not count towards your 2-page limit. If you are proposing to also subcontract these services, please do list them in the document. If you are doing this in partnership with another organization, if you're proposing to have 2 organizations providing these services and or subcontracting, please do be very clear and explicit about that information and that relationship and who would be doing what. Do please provide 2 references that are relevant for these services. So if you provided these services to another public sector employer organization within the last 5 years, please provide that information here. And if anything, let's see. Yes, and that section is just saying the same thing. Please just provide us all the information related to a parent entity above. So section 4 of the proposal, let us know if there's any litigation, anything working its way through the legal system related to your business that is relevant for here. Please also provide a price quote And if you have questions about that, we have our subject matter experts here who may be able to provide more information on that. And so Section 6 is your approach to strategy or services. So we would like to know in as much detail as possible, what is the staffing structure? What facilities do you have? What is the working arrangements, especially are people working remotely? Are people working in a designated facility and location? What are the security features and systems that you have in place? Things like that. And our subject matter experts will be speaking more on this section and what they're looking for shortly. We are looking for written evidence and documented evidence that you are that your organization meets the minimum qualifications. So please do also attest also that your organization does meet them as you include these documents. Section 8 is the standard business agreement that the city has. So please do review that and acknowledge that you have read it. And if you have any objections to any part of it, please note that in red lines in the document and submit that with your proposal as well. We do use this as the basis of negotiations with the highest vendor when we are at that phase. And Section 9 is the insurance. In Article 5 of the agreements, there is a section on the required insurance coverages that the city requires of a vendor for this service, and especially in light of a lot of protected health information and other information that is involved in these services. The insurances have been established to, in the event of a breach, in event of any issues. So we do, the city does require that a vendor is able to meet these levels of coverages and the types of coverages. And so with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Michael. And thank you everyone for your time. And we look forward to reviewing your proposals.
Thank you, Patrick. With that, we can hand this over to Olga, and we can go through a little bit of an overview of SFHSS and the services.
Great, thank you, Michael. So I know that our RFP has some background on our agency, but I'll go ahead and give a little bit of that as well on this call. Excuse me. The San Francisco Health Service System provides health, dental, and vision benefits, along with a variety of voluntary benefits to active employees and retirees of the City and County of San Francisco, the Unified School District, City College of San Francisco, and the San Francisco Superior Courts and their covered dependents. Oh, Patrick, we can see your chat. There you go. The Member Services Division, where our current call center is in, determines eligibility for our members and provides support to members in resolving their enrollment issues and works on plan reconciliations. When fully staffed, our Member Services Division is comprised of 23 members. That's including a manager, benefits supervisor, 3 senior benefits analysts, 15 benefit analysts, and 3 technicians. At our current staffing levels, we are currently at 15 employees in the division. We currently use PeopleSoft for benefits administration and Salesforce for case management and enterprise content management for a document management system. And our call center volumes or call volumes fluctuate throughout the year with peaks during open enrollment and sometime right after for confirmation. And that is beginning in October through December. We also have some peaks happening in January where members are enrolling or getting access to their new plans. And then also in late May through June, which is considered our retirement season. So we do have a spike of members calling to ensure that they're able to transition from active member benefits to retiree benefits. A little bit of an overview of the services and how we provide them currently, and then I'll move into what we're looking for from from this contract. So our members are supported currently through a call center. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 with with closure from 12 to 1 for lunch, with the exception of Thursday where we're open from 10 to 5 and again closed from 12 to 1. We also offer bookings consultations through Microsoft Teams. Where we provide retiree consultations for our members, basically walking them through the process of switching from active membership to retiree membership. Members communicate to us via fax, mail, drop off, or through our automated e-benefits system, where they're able to submit documents when they're reporting changes to us. A lot of the call volume that we have currently, because of the way that members are able to communicate with us, is confirmation oriented, meaning that when members are sending us fax, mail, or are uploading documents, they are calling us in order to confirm the receipt of those documents. Due to our, sorry, let's skip that part. Oh, we also do get a large number of calls where members are requesting information about the plans that we offer, specifically medical, dental, and vision plans. And we're asked for pricing information and then also comparison between all of the plans that we offer to our members. We do, in terms of the voluntary benefits that we provide, there is, excuse me, there is a little bit less, sorry, frog in my throat. Less direct support that we have there. We do work with a vendor called Workterra, where our members are able to connect directly with a representative there who is able to walk them through all of the voluntary benefits, which could be anything from supplemental life, short-term disability, or they're able to schedule their appointments one-on-one with a Workterra representative online. And so what we're looking for here with this contract is having that additional support for our members who are calling while staff here are mostly focused on the actual eligibility determination and processing. We need to still be able to meet the need of our members to answer their inquiries over the phone. And specifically for the scope of this contract, what we're looking for is the level of support to be more on information and referral, along with having that integration with our systems to be able to handle the confirmation level calls for our members, where kind of the envisioned process would be an integration into our current IVR with WebEx, where a member would, as they do now, call our call center, and depending on the option that they select, when that option is within the scope of this contract, the call will then be routed to an agent of the vendor. And the support being provided. If the caller selects an option that is outside of the scope, that call will not be routed to the vendor and would be handled internally. Just thinking, any additional comments that I wanted to make here, Michael, before passing it back to you. I think that's kind of the big picture scope. I know that there may be some questions around what system integrations and things like that, but I'll leave it to the participants to ask that.
Thank you, Olga. Much appreciated. At this point, Rin, if there's anything else you want to add, Ray, same, we can go right into questions at this point.
Nothing for me.
All right, great. Thank you both. With that, we're going to open this up to questions. Since we have a lot of participants here, the best thing to do is to use the hand raise feature through Microsoft Teams. If you are dialing in over the phone, what we will do is try to just maybe do a verbal hand raise and unmute yourself on the call. Again, just want to do the reminder here that for all of these questions, you will also need to submit them in writing via email after this call. All right, Valerie.
Okay, I have 3 basic questions. Do you accept zip files?
Do you mean as your proposal?
Yes, if it can compress too large of them.
If
Of
it's
a
too
file.
large and compressed, yes, we can. I would just recommend that you confirm receipt with us.
Okay. Are you requiring registered agents for this?
Are you talking about for the purposes of legal notification?
No, for that have healthcare registration.
I don't.
To sell healthcare
No, we're
products
not.
and services.
No.
And last one, do you have a specific pricing that you're desiring, either shared agents or shared by the minute or dedicated by the hour?
Great question. We received those questions in writing. We are going to be putting into our first amendment, which may be as early as tomorrow or Monday, more detailed on what we're looking for from a pricing perspective. This is always a bit of a challenge given that we're looking to have the most apples to apples comparison for our evaluation panel members, but we will be including a response to that question in our first addendum.
Okay, that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Valerie. Let's see, I'm just going to go in the order here. And Valerie, once you're done asking questions, you can also lower your hand. So we don't, unless you have more questions. Karen?
Yes, hello, everyone. I have a question. I noted that there is a in-state subcontracting goal too. And I was just wondering if the prime vendor needs to also be local in-state, or if you're accepting from out of state.
For this contract, there actually is no longer any, and it wouldn't be an in-state requirement. It would be a local business enterprise requirement. We do have a rating bonus for any firms that are actually headquartered in San Francisco and certified with our local business enterprise team at the contract monitoring division, but there is no requirement for either subcontracting locally or to be a local business.
Thank you.
Welcome. Dan, I think I saw your hand raised there.
Yeah, thank you. Do all services have to be provided onshore, or will you allow any offshore or near shore support?
Due to the city's requirements and our data security concerns, we do have to provide these services onshore. We have details in the RFP on this. If you are looking for any more clarification on that or specific services that are tangential services may or may not be, please submit those as a question. We can respond to them individually.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. Patrick, I'm not seeing any more hands raised here. Are you? I know we have a lot of attendees.
There are no hands yet.
Okay. Oh, we do
just
have
have
Benjamin. Please go ahead. Benjamin, you may still be on mute. Oh, no, let's see here. Benjamin.
And folks, you can also plop your question in the chat if it's easier if you're having any audio issues.
Great point. Thank you, Patrick. Again, if there are any questions that arise after this, you can always submit them to us again in email. Oh, Dan, I see your hand raised again. I'm not sure if that's from the original.
No, yeah. Are there any, is this all inbound calls or do they make outbound calls?
Oh, that's a great question. Olga, do you want to address that? I think we have the whole
Sure.
section on that in the RFP, but I think that's a kind of a nuanced aspect of this. Please go ahead.
Of course. So this would be all inbound calls. The only aspect of this having an outbound component would be that if the member asks a question that a secondary question that leads them outside of the scope of what this contract is for, is to do a warm transfer back to our internal call center.
Thank you,
Great,
Olga.
thanks.
Alma,
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. One of the questions I had were if this would be a virtual or remote. I mean, an office or remote. I did read that you guys are currently still virtual and planning to go into an office, and I was just wondering if this would be applicable to the vendor that you guys would get.
So the section you're referring to is actually that we are actually all in office. Many of us are in office right
Oh.
now, and a lot of our team is. We are doing some flexible scheduling to allow some people to be remote, but we are steadily moving back to having everyone in office. The part I think that you're reading is about whether we're having our members be able to come into the office to meet with us, which is something we did prior
Got
to
it.
the pandemic. We are working on a schedule to kind of safely and prudently get back to the status quo, the pre-pandemic state. But at this time, we are limiting that to kind of protect our staff and avoid any possible outbreaks, things of that nature.
Perfect. So, would the person or the company you contract, would they be able to work remotely?
Absolutely, yes. We are not expecting the
Got it.
vendor as a result of this to be on site in any way.
Perfect. And then another question I had was an ACD was mentioned, and we were wondering if we would be getting licenses on your phone system, or would we have to bring our own system aboard and integrate it with yours?
Oh, great question. Rin, Olga, do you want to field that question now, or do you want to have them write that? I know we're already answering questions on that subject matter for the first addendum.
Let's take that question in writing from a
Okay.
technical feasibility perspective. It's feasible. I just need to check with Olga and Ray how they would like that workflow to occur.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Alma. Yeah, so be sure to shoot that over in an email, and we will
Mhm.
include that in one of our next addenda. And as Patrick mentioned, if you've submitted a question and it is not in that first addenda, do not worry. There will be others. We will be sending them out on kind of a rolling basis. There's multiple, individual units at HSS that need to apply their kind of subject matter and expertise to individual questions, but we also have some other city departments that are involved in this process, and we need to make sure that we give them time to weigh in and respond as well. So if you don't see your question that first time around, again, it will be in a subsequent addendum.
Michael, can I just speak to that last question just really quickly? Just so that there could be some follow-up. And so as we reviewed similar questions, I think some of our the fact that we haven't worked with such a call center in the past kind of made it difficult for us to answer that question. But our thought was that if we licensed the respondents to our system, that would limit their ability to take other calls, right? And so if they're logged into our system, they would be online waiting for a call and therefore would not be able to take other calls. And so that would limit the response to dedicated agents. We're not quite sure if all respondents were going to propose to have a dedicated team to only answer our calls. But certainly if that were the proposal, we could provide the licenses for our WebEx ecosystem potentially. And so we were going to respond in that manner, but we are not opposed to basically forward the call to the respondent system so that whatever mechanisms that they had on their side to have a team of agents and fielding calls from multiple employer groups or clients. So I think we just want to make sure that the respondents know that we are open to both scenarios. But again, some of this is a learning experience for us as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that detail.
Michael, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Patrick. I'm looking at the attendee list. You want to read that question off for everyone and we can see if we can answer it on the call?
Sure. This question from Barb Lucas. Thank you for providing call volumes received. What % of calls do you anticipate being rolled to the vendor monthly?
Thank you for
can
the
take that
question,
one.
Barb. Yeah, go ahead, Olga.
So, kind of like with what Race just said, harder to. We haven't done this contract before, so it's kind of hard to predict what this would be. But I think in our breakdown of the type of calls that we have, based on the scope of what would be part of the responsibility for the vendor, and this would change from month to month depending on when those peaks happen for us. I believe anywhere between 30 to 50% of our calls would be transitioned over to the vendor.
Thank you, Olga. All right, Patrick, I'm not seeing any more hands raised or comments in the chat. Again, we noticed that some people were not able to join until later on in the call. That's fine. Again, we have recorded this call. It will be posted to our RFP page, same page that Patrick was sharing earlier in full. Again, all questions. Oh, I do. Alma, it looks like your hand is still raised. Is that one more question from you?
Sorry, I actually do have a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
And it's okay if it can't be answered this time, but can we know at this time what phone system you guys are using?
Cisco WebEx.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. All right. Again, we will be posting this entire presentation and the recording to our webpage. That will probably be done in short order. Again, please submit any additional questions in writing. Any questions that were asked on this call, please submit in writing. And again, we can only answer them up until the deadline for RFP questions, unless they relate to you being a approved city supplier, which includes 12B compliance. Let me say thank you to my entire team here for taking time out of their day for this call and preparing for this RFP. I want to thank everyone who wrote in to attend our pre-proposal meeting. We really do appreciate the number of interested parties here, and for those of you bringing additional members of your subject matter expert team to this call. Again, any questions, email Patrick and myself. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.